Imagine a landscape more dramatic than Switzerland. No, it's not Kashmir either, but then if there is such a place that comes at a fraction of the cost you would spend on a Switzerland trip and attracts a fraction of the crowd that you would encounter in Kashmir, that's Kinnaur. Kinnaur. It's one of the most beautiful alpine valleys in the Indian Himalayas. So before getting to know what Kinnaur is, let's understand what an alpine valley is. See, not only in India, wherever you have mountainous landscapes, there are three types of mountains. See, the first one is obviously evergreen mountains, like what we see in the Western Ghats. So generally they are at around 2000 meters and it's evergreen, it rains a lot, and it's the typical Western Ghats that you see here in India. So on the other extreme you have the Trans-Himalayas, like what we have in Ladakh. So you have the highest mountains and you throw a stone, it lands somewhere above 14,000 feet and it's extremely cold, you have breathing related problems. Alpine valleys are something which is right in between because most of the alpine valleys in India are at around 10,000 to 12,000 feet, and so the best thing about alpine valleys is you have a river flowing down and then you have the alpine trees. In India it's the deodar, and then you have black rock, and on top of that you have ice. An alpine valley is basically, the Switzerland types, the Kashmir types of valley that everyone imagines whenever they think about a mountain. Kinnaur is basically not just one valley, it's a group of valleys. See, there is this one mountain called as Kinnaur Kailash on the far eastern side of Himachal, and Kinnaur is basically a district in the eastern edge of Himachal Pradesh, and Himachal is one of these states, when you look into the maps it's like a very small state, but when you venture inside you can keep traveling for weeks if not months together and still not touch many parts of it. It starts from the Pirpanjal on the west, where you have Kullu Manali and other hill stations, and it goes east almost till Tibet. There are multiple valleys in Kinnaur, but the most famous and the ones that we are going to talk about today, they are basically two valleys. One is the mainstream Sutlej that flows north of the Kinnaur Kailash range, and the other one is the Sangla or the Baspa valley that flows south of the Kinnaur Kailash range. So what happens is the Kinnaur Kailash splits these two valleys, where you have one on the north and the Baspa river from the south drains into the mainstream Sutlej. First, let's see about Sangla Valley. Actually, it should be called as Baspa Valley because the valley is around the Baspa river. But a decade ago, people can reach only till this village called as Sangla. So, since it was the last spot where people could reach on a motor vehicle, it was called Sangla, named after the town. But the river is actually Baspa, and any valley is generally named after the river that flows between it. So, it's actually Baspa Valley. So, you have these three beautiful villages dotting this Baspa valley. So the first one, as I told you, will be Sangla, and the second one is Rackchcham, and the last one is Chitkul. And recently Chitkul is gaining a lot of popularity, being one of those last Indian villages bordering Tibet. Chitkul is basically about 240 kilometers from Shimla. So this is not like traveling between Bangalore and Chennai where you do 350 kilometers in like less than 5 hours. This 250 kilometers is going to be all in the hills on the Indo-Tibet highway, and it generally takes somewhere between 10 to 12 hours, if not for the narrow cliffhanger roads. Sometimes you cannot rule out the possibility of landslides and roadblocks and traffic in some of the crowded towns like Rampur, which lies in between. All in all, it will take you a full day, like 10 to 12 hours to travel between Shimla and Chitkul or Rackchcham. So how many days would it take to make a Kinnaur trip? See, let's consider that you start from Shimla. So 2 days to get from Shimla to Kinnaur, and then back from Kinnaur to Shimla. So 2 days are gone there. So As I told you, you have this Kinnaur Kailash range right in between, and for a couple of days you will travel through the Baspa valley all the way to Chitkul, come back and then circle around, go to Rackchcham, Kalpa, and then come back. You will need another 4 days, 2 days in Rackchcham or Chitkul and 2 days in Kalpa. All in all, you will need something like 6 days to make a Kinnaur trip. See, technically speaking, you can make it in 3 to 4 days as well, or in total from Shimla to Shimla, but then there is no point rushing to Kinnaur, ticking it off your bucket list and coming back. So Kinnaur is one of these places where you need time to understand it. To understand the landscape and to sync with the people, you need at least a couple of nights stay there. See, right now things have changed because quite a number of tourists are getting to Kinnaur, but 10 years back you won't believe if I said doors in Kinnaur do not have locks, and no door has a provision even to fit a lock inside. To understand such a place, you need to go around, have a short chat with the locals there, and keep looking at the landscape for a while, because you don't get to see them quite often. The best thing about Kinnaur is, in most places, even in Kashmir and other places, the high mountains are pretty far off and you see the snow peaks very far from you. But Kinnaur is a very tightly packed ridge, and you get to see the glaciers very close. See, that's why I've titled it the land of roadside glaciers, because you're standing on the road, right next to you is this one 6,000 meters wall, and then you have the glaciers coming down from the top of the mountains. And Kinnaur is, the Baspa Valley is one of the very few places where you get this close to the actual glaciers, because otherwise you will have to trek multiple days to get here. But Kinnaur is one place which offers all these by a roadside. So talking about the itinerary, this would be your basic itinerary. So let's consider you're starting from Shimla. So from Shimla traveling to Rackchcham will be your first day. See, you have a lot of options to stay in Chitkul as well, but in my view Rackchcham is a much better place, because the valley is much closer in Rackchcham than in Chitkul, and there is this one hotel, it's been there for a very long time. It's one of the first hotels beyond Sangla on the Baspa Valley, Hotel Rupin Riverview. You can mention my name, I'll leave their number in the description, check out with them. So the best thing is, the hotel is built at a point where the glacier is at the closest. So that would be your day 1, and day 2 you make a day trip to Chitkul from Rackchcham and get back, which is like 10-20 kilometers. So which completes your 2 nights in the Baspa Valley in Rackchcham. Then you circle around the Kinnaur Kailash, get to Kalpa. The Kinnaur Kailash area is not something where you have a destination and then go to that destination and then come back. The journey is what matters, and every turn you take, it's the landscapes are spectacular. See, for example, when you're getting to the Baspa Valley, to Rackchcham or Chitkul, so there is this one dam called as Rackchcham Dam. So till then the landscapes are normal, like you have your Shimla Kullu Manali sort of landscapes with valleys and grass and alpine trees. But then once you cross Rackchcham, everything opens up and all of a sudden you get transported right in the middle of glacial realm. So that's something not a lot of valleys offer in India and elsewhere. Once you get to Kalpa, there's a village not very far away. It's like 7 or 8 kilometers, Rogi village. You have a very deep gorge en route to Rogi village, and go take a walk around, come back. So that will complete your 2 nights in Kalpa, and then you can get back to Shimla and then back home. When is the best time to visit Kinnaur? If you want to play in heaps of snow, then you got to be there in March or latest by April. We used to have over 10 feet of snow in Rackchcham till the end of April, but in recent years snowfall's been really dicey because of global warming. So come May, the biting cold subsides and it's comparably pleasant. If you want to make a family trip, then maybe that's the best time in terms of temperatures. And come June to August, it's monsoon time. The valley is lush green, but you have outcast skies. If you want to see the turquoise colored water, you got to visit before the monsoon or post monsoon. And November, it's a special month to visit Kinnaur. It's fall in the Alpine Himalayas and everything turns gold and red. So those are the basics about Kinnaur. Hope you enjoyed it. So Kinnaur is not only an alpine valley in itself, but it is the gateway of something even more spectacular. So that's coming up next week. Hope I earned your subscription with this one. See you next week. Until then, travel more, travel safe. See you, buddy.